Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer. Man, lots of injuries happening over the last couple of days in the NHL. We got a long list of injured players to catch you up on. A lot of star players. Matt, what's the latest for us?
All right, so we'll start with the Anaheim Ducks. As Rickard Rakell's out with a sprained ankle, and goaltender Ryan Miller is out 6 weeks with an MCL sprain. They picked up Chad Johnson from waivers just because they don't really have any veteran goalies down in the AHL to replace him over that time span. The LA Kings have a lot of injuries to their back end. Drew Doughty injured his hand against Buffalo in his day-to-day. Dion Phaneuf has an undisclosed injury and was flown back to Los Angeles from their road trip to be reevaluated. And I saw Alec Martinez as well was put on injured reserve today. So that's three of their top six defensemen out of the lineup right now, which is tough to deal with, especially LA with how bad they've been this year.
Ouch.
Also, the Edmonton Oilers, Oscar Klefbom injured his hand and is considered week to week. I know he'll be having an MRI to see the full extent of that injury. And some guys returning. Vasilevsky looks like he'll be back in Tampa Bay, while Matt Murray returned in a backup role. Another injury, Kevin Shattenkirk separated his shoulder and is out 2 to 4 weeks. So that's a bit of a big blow for the Rangers. Though if you go off the beginning of the season where he was a healthy scratch, if his play hasn't improved, we haven't seen much of him just because we're out in the West Coast. That could be a big loss. And that just about sums up the big ones. Artem Anisimov with Chicago is out with concussion and was put on injury reserve after taking a huge hit from Shea Weber the other day in that game against the Habs. But yeah, that about sums up the big injury news.
St. Louis finally wins against, I believe, Florida. And funny moment happened in that game. Why don't you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So in the first period, is this a face-off right outside the blue line? It went back to Bertuzzo. He went to dump it into the corner, and it hit the ref in the groin, and it deflected right on net and past Luongo. But the goal wasn't allowed because you're not allowed to score a goal directly off a referee into the net. But we posted the video on our Facebook page if you want to see it. It's pretty funny to watch and pretty fluky how it went off his groin and in.
Another funny moment was the Edmonton, Colorado game. A fight between Matt Benning and I can't remember.
Matt Calvert.
Yeah. Matt Calvert, and something funny happened there. That's also on our Facebook page.
Yeah. So after the fight, one of the Avalanche fans was chirping Benning in the penalty box, and Edmonton was up 6-2 at the time. So Benning was just smiling at him and pointing at the scoreboard. And the fan, I guess, he got a little bit angry, and he started hitting his hands against the glass. And then all of a sudden, the glass just shattered into a million pieces. And Benning had to end up serving his fighting major on the bench because they had to clean up all the glass, and there wasn't any replacement glass for that side. So pretty funny moment. But yeah, both of those are on our Facebook page if you want to check them out.
Other news and notes that you have for us?
Yeah, so Alexander Ovechkin got his first hat trick of the season. It was his 21st of his career, which passes Pavel Bure for most by a Russian-born player in the NHL. Also, it's his 14th straight season with 25-plus goals in a season. Only Jaromir Jagr, who did it 17 times to start his career, and Mike Gardner, who did it 15 times, are the only ones to do that to start their career. And also, I saw an interesting stat. Over the last 6 seasons, Ovechkin has 261 goals in 432 games. The next closest in that time span is Sidney Crosby, who has 188 goals in 420 games. So just to show the dominance of Alex Ovechkin over these past 6 seasons and just over his career, just how dominant he's been. It's just crazy when you see the big difference. It's about 100-goal difference.
And that's just incredible. Another injury update that we've already talked about this injury, but Antti Ranta is now looks like he's out for the year for the Arizona Coyotes. How devastating is that to a team like the Coyotes, who seem to be always rebuilding and who seem to be having a good season this year? And will
Yeah.
Aiden Hill continue to carry the load?
Yeah, so I saw that at least they got Darcy Kemper back from injury the other night, but yeah, this Ronta injury, it went from like day to day to week to he's gonna be out for the season, which is a huge loss. I know his numbers weren't as good as his last season, but yeah, I think that's a huge loss because I think Aiden Hill he still played decent the past couple of games, but he's starting to cool off a little bit, but. I saw their general manager, John Chayeka, says they're not going to look for a trade. They're just going to go with the goalies that they have in Kemper, Hill, and they also picked up Calvin Pickard off waivers early last week, I believe. So I think with the way the Arizona is going, they're going to be sort of around that 500 team this year, I'd say, which sucks because they have a lot of young players like in Clayton Keller. Nick Schmaltz has really done well since coming over from the trade. With Chicago, that I thought they'd be a little bit better than the way they have been.
A fun stat as well of a couple of milestones. Chicago Blackhawks, both their stellar defensemen shared the same milestone. Why don't you give us those details?
Yeah, so Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook each played in their 1,000th game together when they've both been in the lineup. Together, played their 1,000th game together, which is the first time in NHL history that has ever happened, which is pretty crazy because you think some longtime teammates over the years would have gone there, but with injuries or trades, I guess it's just never happened. So that's a really cool stat there.
All right. Final words as I guess we're going to wrap up today's show.
Yeah, so just 4 games today in NHL. So we caught up from all the highlights on our Facebook page today. So I'll have those up tonight with just the 4 games. I know Vegas beat the Islanders earlier today with Philly up 4-2 last time I checked on Calgary. And Chicago and Pittsburgh were tied at 3 last time I checked as well.
Yeah, still 3.
So yeah, we'll have those up tonight. And yeah, we'll be back on Friday where we're going to debut a Canucks talk where we just talk about the Canucks. I know we brought it up on the Monday show. We want to test out a show and see how that works, where we go once a week talking about just the Canucks.
Canucks dinner with Aaron and Matt. Anyways, remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page if you like seeing highlights. Matt posts a lot of the fights, the goals, and the big saves, as well as some of the big hits on there. And you can get a lot of highlights and action on our Facebook page. Remember to comment as well. Share your thoughts. We love hearing your thoughts. We love interacting with you, the fan. And thanks again for tuning us in. We'll see you with our debut of Canucks Supper on Friday night. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you then.